I really feel that for the most part, the United Kingdom is a tolerant country. We're a diverse country, this goes without saying. I don't think that's a politically correct statement or virtue signalling statement. It's just a matter of reality. You go to any big city, London, of course, but Birmingham, Manchester, Bristol, Leeds, Liverpool, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Coventry, Leicester, Nottingham, Belfast, Cardiff, Southampton, any of our cities, Newcastle upon Tyne, you'll see a great diversity of life. You'll see people from around the world of different faiths, sexual orientations, and so on. So I've no problem with the reflection that Britain is a diverse country, and I think that within that there is a certain ground for diplomacy and respect. Goes without saying, but I also feel there needs to be a pushback against those who want to constantly run this country down. And I don't think that the fact we're a diverse country should ever be used as a reason, for instance, to say that people who shouldn't be here, who pose a threat to this country in some way, shape, or form, whether they be hostile foreign state actors or whether they're promoting ideologies that threaten others, then I don't think that should be controversial to say either. Because there's a contradiction to say, we should celebrate diversity and be pro-diversity, but we're going to turn a blind eye to intolerance if it's the sort of intolerance that might, be politically incorrect to talk about. I.e., there will be some on the left who are very quick to condemn ultranationalist types, blood and soil types, fine, but they're a bit slower to condemn Islamist ideology. I'm going to read out a piece by Janice Turner in the Times. It's an op-ed. I think it's really worth looking at. This is from the 23rd of March. This one I'm reading out. And hopefully I won't have space issues in this one. So I'll just read it out. Bear with me. It's a little bit long, but I do think the context is important. Britain's instincts trump the diversity clerics. Poll shows most people believe the hectoring tone and arcane language of the inclusivity brigade has gone too far. This is by Janice Turner at Victoria Peckham. When the 16th century Anglican Church switched its liturgy from Latin to English, this followed common people, not just clergy, to understand the Mass. Allowed common people, not just clergy, to understand the Mass. Now another priestly caste has taken control, speaking a tongue that confounds even the Archbishop of Canterbury. What on earth does it mean? Justin Welby asked the Diocese of Birmingham after it placed a recruitment for an anti-racism practice officer and, in brackets, deconstructing whiteness to fan into flame a movement of change within us. Utterly obnoxious woke orthodoxy there, my words. In fact, the woman responsible for that, the cleric responsible, she's now kind of the centre of this debate. I may make another video on her. The language of equality, diversity and inclusion, that's EDI, the acronym is EDI, is arcane. Its edicts issued from on high by clerics, intolerant of doubters or heretics. When one of Blackpool's two pride flag pedestrian crossings was vandalised recently, a local councillor said, "I just can't get my head around the negativity." It did not cross her mind that residents of one of Britain's poorest towns might balk at thousands spent on painting rainbows for Be Who You Want to Be campaign when their council teeters towards bankruptcy. In other words, it's a question of priorities. This week, two reports addressed the impact of EDI on the workplace and beyond. The first by the Independent Inclusion at Work panel for the government's Equality Hub notes how Britain has twice as many EDI offices as any other country, costing the NHS alone an annual 13 million. This is even ahead of countries like Norway and Sweden and the Netherlands, which would be seen as pretty progressive. It found many companies failed to use robust data or clear language and reacted to external events, notably the US Black Lives Matter movement, not to improve the lives of their employees, but to chase favourable PR. Such training, it notes, is often divisive, counterproductive, and in trying to go above and beyond equality law, ends up breaking it, especially in pursuit of trans inclusion. The result has been high-profile employment tribunal victories for gender-critical feminists, such as Maya Forstater and Professor Joe Phoenix, who proved they were persecuted in the name of EDI. The report also finds pro-diversity messages are often politicised, leaving some groups fearing discrimination. This is not unfounded. The Scottish Government, which let staff personalise their lanyards in 2017, has admitted it allowed LGBT rainbow ribbons but banned the women's movement suffragette colours. That's the purple, white and green. The second report, finding a balance, by the think tank More in Common and Oxford University, paints a more nuanced picture. Polling 6,000 people, conducting focus groups and interviewing EDI professionals, it found Britons were 5 times more likely to say EDI is a good rather than bad thing. Our deep-rooted sense of fairness, regardless of political affiliation, means we feel organisations benefit from a broad range of voices and that ethnic minorities still face discrimination. But we also feel EDI can alienate rather than engage. We particularly hate being chastised, with a striking 7 out of 10 people agreeing people are made to feel stupid for not saying the right thing. A friend in a blue chip company lectured on the importance of pronouns on email signatures recalls everyone just nodded along. No one dared even ask the question, what if it went on our HR file? As the More in Common respondent in Sunderland, my hometown, put it, some people are just waiting for someone to make a mistake to jump on it straight away. The Church of England should note that the report finds deep hostility to the phrase white privilege. This is very important, particularly within working class communities. I've never had privilege in my life, was a common response, along with a belief that while EDI addresses racial, religious or sexual minorities, it ignores disadvantages of social class. British people also distinguish between work and private lives. 2/3 believe a person should lose a job for expressing grossly offensive views at work, but fewer than a third vote for what they say outside, a marked finding given how employees are now sanctioned for social media posts. That's a very important point, actually. I'm not very comfortable with people being punished outside the workplace. What resonates through the report is a sense that diversity is fine if it's relevant to an organisation's work. We think museums should educate, not atone for historic wrongs or apply the values of modern society to the past, and overwhelmingly wish to retain and explain rather than junk controversial artefacts. We are adamant the police should remain politically neutral, that instead of taking the knee or attending Pride, they should focus on solving crime. I mean, this is a no-brainer. People want the police to get back to basics. More in Common recommends organisations promote a shared sense of decency and a culture of generosity, not criticism. But EDI's tenets, language and objectives spring from divisive US identity politics. And yet in America the backlash has begun, with companies such as Zoom and Meta slashing their diversity teams.